Hey, Crypto Growth fam, how's it going? This is your host Shazib signing in. We're back with another video, guys. In this video, we will be discussing Flare network. Flare above Chainlink. It's going to be an interesting one, guys, so make sure to watch till the end. And, folks, for those of you who are new to the channel, we primarily discuss utility coins and potential gems. If you're interested in any of that stuff, then subscribe the channel and hit the notification icon for regular videos. And you can also support the channel by becoming a Patreon. So do check that out as well, only if you're interested. And folks, keep your assets safe, and for that you guys can check out the Crypto Growth exclusive discount offer on Decent. Decent is convenient, safe, and secure. You can check out their biometric wallet, which has got a phenomenal $50 off. And you can also check out their biometric wallet 2x package, guys, which has got an astonishing $129 off, only if you follow the link in the description box below. By the way, folks, Decent supports 3000 plus of your favorite coins and tokens, and it supports 50 plus blockchain mainnets, including a lot of the projects that you're acquainted with, like Ethereum, BTC, XRP, XLM, Stellar, Hedera, XDC network that we cover. Anyways, guys, check this out. Now let us look into the price and chart of Flare and Songbird at the time of the recording, and let's see what they have been up to lately. So nothing much has changed when it comes to Flare. Not much. Still, we are in the support levels, to basically testing the support levels over here. Let's hope that these support levels remain intact. The entire market is bloody at the moment, including BTC and Ethereum. They are bloody at the moment, you can see. So there is a chance that these support levels might break because the overall sentiment of the market is bad. You can see that Songbird is also testing these crucial support levels as well. Anyways, guys, I found this post over here from Mr. Nebuchadnezzar. Okay, so that was really difficult to pronounce, so you can pronounce it yourselves over here. So shout out to Mr. Nebuch, which I would like to call him, Mr. Nebuch. Okay, so Crypto Insight Tuck has shared this as well, reposted this. 67% of FLR currently staked to secure the network. So check this out. Why Flare Networks excels as the blockchain for data above Chainlink and Pyth, as explained by Hugo Fillion and Dinesh KP Into. Flare, Songbird, Flare Network. Okay, so let's listen to this, as he's saying that it is a must listen. Focusing on data and compute with Hugo. Let's hear Hugo out.
Thanks for the clarification on that, Hugo. So I want to go ahead and move on. I'm going to try to get all of this agenda packed into this one meeting. Hugo, you mentioned that Flare is the blockchain for data. We're building a full stack solution for developers to build intensely feature-rich applications. This includes an enshrined oracle for fast decentralized prices, the FTSO, an enshrined oracle for data proofs from other blockchains and Web 2, FDC, and access to verifiable off-chain compute. Can you break down a little bit further? Tell us, what are the problems that Flare is trying to solve here?
Absolutely. So here I'll try and articulate why I want to focus on data, why I want the Flare team to hyper-focus on what we're doing in data. And then I'll pass it over to Dinesh for verifiable compute. So let's start with the following, knowledge. Flare does data better than any of the competition. And this is our advantage. This is our huge advantage that I want to essentially take to the game and play extra hard. And why do we do this better? Well, there are 4 key differences. One, Flare has the most decentralization. In terms of security model, it has the highest proportional security. It has very, very low cost, entirely free for most of the data that we have. And it has an ease of use for developers that is in some ways unmatched. So let me just try and break those 4 things down. On decentralization, at last analysis, the on Chainlink and Pith, between Chainlink and Pith, the worst supported feed they had 5 data providers. And between the two of them, the best supported feed they had 31 data providers. And they don't have meaningful staking mechanisms. So between 5 and 31, the ability to pervert that data is huge. And Flare has 100 data providers, all providing data for every price that exists on Flare. All of them, with the weight of the stake. So on security, I said, there's really minimal staking methods. Ultimately, it looks like, but is difficult to prove, that there's a sort of favoritism around nodes within those systems based on, relationships, rather than it being purely permissionless. To give you an example, on Chainlink's current staking mechanism, I believe they have about 7% of the Link token staked. To compare this with Flare, we have 67% of our token dedicated to securing our data providers. I mean, that's just vastly different. And so, if you take the decentralization and security, these two elements taken together mean that a consumer of that data is really just trusting that system versus trusting the technology and the economic guarantees that sit behind the technology, which is the central ethos of our space. On cost, we can provide data at lower cost for a number of reasons. To give you some examples, data streams in Chainlink cost a few million a year. That's huge. Because we've integrated the data and the Oracle and the network and the layer 1 token into a single network and a single infrastructure role, this means that we can provide data for free, because when people use it, that provides value to the network. That is not the case with a third-party Oracle provider. It doesn't provide a third-party. Chainlink is not Ethereum, so when people use Chainlink's data on Ethereum, they're providing value for the Ethereum token. They're not necessarily providing value for Chainlink unless Chainlink has a token for which you have to pay for or in some way use the token to consume that data. So we can provide, because the data is integrated into the network, the use of our network creates value for the network. And then ease of use. When you're looking at data feeds on other oracles, you have to look at, okay, how many providers are providing this data feed? As I said, the max was 31 and the lowest was 5. This means that if I'm a developer, I can't just look through a list of prices and go, I'll use that price. I want to build something that uses this price. It means I have to look through a list of prices, then I have to go dig in. How many people are providing this price? Is 5 people enough? 5 people is never enough. And, what's my risk if I build a product around this? How much money will people lose if I build a product around this, it becomes successful, and there's 5 people providing the prices? That's essentially means that a developer also has to become a risk analyst. And that is the opposite of ease of use. So we've built a system that markedly is more true to the values of blockchain and demonstrably better than the competitors. So that's kind of the first aspect. We already have this advantage. We've built it. Now, why do I want to focus on it? Well, the opportunities in data are very, very extensive. As I said, just the functionality of layer cake insurance, that can be replicated through data. And the other big opportunity is to provide our data to other blockchains, both the price data and the Web 2 and Web 3 data. But I talk a lot about data, so I'm going to try and make it a little tangible with some examples. Obviously, you know about DeFi data. Kinetic, who are on this call, are launching their lending markets next week. They're using the FTSO to make sure that their lending markets essentially hold enough collateral against what's been lent. SparkDex, which we announced, not that long ago, are launching a perps protocol that's using the FTSO. FLR Labs, me, we're launching the F asset that uses the FTSO and the FTC for state proofs, being able to prove what has happened on Bitcoin, what has happened on XRP. And we've just seen a DApp launch that is, on Coston, launch a predictions market for the Olympics and probably thereafter for other things, but that's, a use of FLR's data. And just within the existing DeFi space, those protocols can be used, as mentioned, for insurance to create complex financial products that couldn't be used before. And, other examples of things like swaps. FLR's data can replace entire swap networks that exist, with a simple smart contract. Other data that just, can be supplied, things like traditional finance data, stocks, bonds, commodities, indexes. This allows real world assets on FLR, and it allows them to do more. The lowest hanging fruit for this kind of data would be something like proving the underlying, i.e. proving that a real world asset protocol does in fact have possession of some asset. Can also create enhancements in existing DeFi dApps like perps on NVIDIA. And there's things like social dApps where you can prove something from Twitter or Facebook to achieve something on the blockchain. Gaming, you can prove the result of a matchup between players to reward them. Things like compliance. Can prove that an entity did a KYC check on a customer before transacting with them. Because I have the proof of the KYC check, then I have the proof of the transaction and the sequential in the blockchain. I can prove identity to contribute to an on-chain ID. In things like AI, I can prove that a model gave a specific output for a specific input attested on-chain at a specific time. And then I can use that output to do something on-chain. Simple example, when matched with an on-chain ID, the proof coming from an AI model could be a credit score to allow unsecured lending to happen on-chain. That's a huge opportunity. These examples are, very off-the-cuff examples, but these are multi-billion-dollar and in some cases multi-trillion-dollar markets. And as I said, FLR's data is cheaper, more secure, easier to use than the competitors. Cheaper and easier means that developers can innovate and iterate on use cases. More secure means they are more confident to start building with FLR's data and stick with FLR's data. So when I say we're going to hyper-focus as an organization, what do I mean? FLR has two data protocols, the FTSO, which provides prices and time series data, and the FTC, which provides proofs from Web 2 and Web 3. We've just upgraded the FTSO so it can handle 1,000 series, updatable every block. It has a payment module in it so that when data carries a cost to obtain by the providers, this cost can be paid for by the users. We want FLR's data on other chains, as I've said, for a fee, and we want to get adoption for it. This requires technical integrations, marketing, business development. That's work. We want to allow developers to add new data types to both the FTSO and FTC easily with minimal fuss. This is not currently something that you can do. It's not that easy. So it's a substantial technical challenge, but perfectly feasible to make this happen. And most importantly, we want to ideate on novel new use cases for data. We want to find partners that provide that data, find people that want to build products around that data, and go through the business development and grants process pipeline to help foster those use cases. These are things that are part of hyper-focusing, and they would be made very, very much harder if we had to handle another protocol and support another protocol and get another protocol to be successful, like Layer Cake. And now I'll pass it over to Dinesh to discuss, an area that we haven't discussed, I haven't discussed so far, on verifiable compute.
Hi, everyone. So one can ask the question, like, why can't we build, Instagram with a blockchain backend, right? And the simple reason is that blockchains don't actually scale very well. And this is true regardless of which blockchain you look at. To take a simple example, we can consider if you wanted to store 1 GB of data on Ethereum, it would cost you around 60 million. If you wanted to store 1 GB of data on Solana, it would cost you around 10 million. And if you wanted to store a gigabyte of data, it would cost you 27 cents. So you're comparing basically 27 cents against tens of millions. So the question is, how can we combine the best of both worlds? How can we get the security, the decentralization, the verifiability that we know and love about blockchains, and still we get the high performance, data heavy, data rich use cases that we can get with something like Google Cloud? And the solution to that is basically verifiable off-chain compute. And what verifiable off-chain compute does is it uses something called a secure hardware enclave, which is basically an isolated component of a processor, which means that this component is effectively isolated from everything else in the CPU and the rest of the computer. So as an example of this, you can take a look at your iPhone or your Android phone, and all your private information, like your Face ID data or your Touch ID data, is actually stored inside these secure enclaves. And the idea here is that if we can combine this with a blockchain tech stack, you can actually unlock a completely new world of heavy compute, heavy data use case that were previously never possible before.
Awesome. Combining AI with blockchain. I mean, this is cool. What do you guys think about Flare Network, guys? Do you think that it excels above brand names such as Chainlink? I would really like your opinions. Do hit the comment box below and let the community know. Anyways, guys, this was it for the video. If you liked it, make sure to like, share, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification icon if you're interested in utility coins and potential gems. And you can also support the channel by becoming a Patreon. So do check that out. Like I always say in the end, until next time, stay blessed and stay tuned. Thank you very much, everyone.